How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. So today I'm really excited to talk to you guys about who I've brought on. It's actually a special guest that we've been sitting on the interview for a few weeks. Before we get to that, I'd like to talk about Infinite Off-Road. Infinite Off-Road's products are covered by the best warranty on the market. A 25-year, you break it, we replace it, and it even covers accidental damage. All of that is included on high-output light bars and pods, rock lights, whips, wheel rings, accessory power controllers, UTV mirrors with built-in lighting, and UTV grills with built-in lighting. Pretty much everything you can think of that's Infinite Off-Road branded, they've got it, and they'll offer that 25-year, you break it, we replace it warranty. Also, on the rock lights, they have the first red, green, blue, and white rock light on the market. It includes dedicated pure white emitters rather than mixing colors to create white. It's twice the emitters and twice the output that competitors give on the brightest output, richest colors, and widest patterns. Bluetooth controller with backup remote for additional control options. Heavy-duty aluminum case with side wire design eliminates the need for adapters and spacing pucks. Their modular kits allow addition of any of the below plug-and-play components, allowing full customization rather than a one-size-fits-all. They offer 4-watt and 8-watt rock light pods, dome light with built-in switch, HD flex strips in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 foot, as well as red, green, and blue whips, and it plugs directly into the rock light controller. So visit my friends at Infinite Off-Road at infiniteoffroad.com. So now that that's out of the way, I have a really cool guest today. In honor of Action Figures 2 being released by Nitro Circus, I have on the show today Hubert Rowland. So we actually did something pretty unique. We sat down, I actually met Hubert at his compound and got a chance to look over his rigs, talk to him about his experiences, how he got started, and most recently his race at King of the Hammers. So I hope you guys enjoy the show, and here we go. Hubert Rowland, ladies and gentlemen.
Get a drink and gather around. Let's talk drivers. Let's talk rigs. Let's talk skill. You've got the best of the best in the off-road racing world. Have a seat at the table with us, and let's talk about racing on the rocks.
How you doing, Hubert?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm
glad you made it with all this rain we're getting.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
I was actually looking for a boat to come up the driveway.
Yeah, I don't know. My two-wheel drive truck probably wouldn't have done too bad if you didn't have all the gravel out there.
That'd be all right.
Yeah. So today I just want to get a chance to talk to you and know more about you, know more about your experiences. So first, before we talk about the ride, let's talk about the man behind the wheel. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So I'm Hubert Rowland, also known as everybody's favorite redneck from the action sports group, Nitro Circus. I'm right-hand man for Travis Pastrana. Take care of everything he owns between houses, cars, razors, four-wheelers, bikes, bicycles, property, trails, ramps, everything. I just help keep all that stuff up and running. I'm also a pretty big part of Nitro Circus itself. Funny redneck personality, kind of sometimes stunt man, and I help build a lot of the big stunts as far as the dirt work and the ramp building and such as that. So that's kind of me and what I am. I grew up right here in Middle Tennessee, just outside of Murfreesboro. I went to school at Oakland, got out of school, went to Wyotech, and I went towards motorcycle mechanics, and I was really aimed towards that. As a kid, I was never happy doing just normal jobs. I had a lot of jobs as I was younger, and as soon as I got tired of a job, like it just wasn't any fun. I had a family friend tell me, he said, when you can't even stand the thought of waking up and going to work, it's time to find something else to do.
I like that.
So that's what I did. If I'd worked somewhere for a while and I didn't like it, I just left. I'd go in there, I'd pay my dues, I'd say bye, and I'd go on. And so I always knew I wanted to do something around off-road stuff, motorcycles, four-wheelers. At that time, there was no UTVs. I mean, that's kind of how long ago it was.
So when were you born?
I was born in 82.
82.
So I'm 36.
So you started riding dirt bikes right out of the gate. You mentioned you had a go-kart, but
I got my first go-kart when I was 3.
Okay.
My grandpa built it for me on 2 lawnmowers.
That's amazing.
And I had a 3-speed reverse. And I hit the shed, put a hole in the wall. I hit my mom's Z28 Camaro and put a dent in the door.
But that didn't go good for you.
Little things like that, they get the key taken away from me. So
yeah,
at that time, I didn't know all lawnmowers took the same key, or I'd just go pull the key out of the mower. But I kind of grew up doing that, and I grew up with a couple dirt bike magazines, and always looking at the same magazines, just thought this looks so cool.
Yeah.
And once I got old enough to actually kind of make a little bit of money and put a little money aside, working mowing yards, working at horse barns, whatever else, I kind of bought my first bike. And
what was your first bike?
My first dirt bike was I think it was an XR80.
Okay.
And it was power trunk, like it didn't run. I mean, the wheels were on it, and that was about it. And out here in the hills where we grew up, with all the farming and stuff like that, there was always something to ride.
Yeah.
But it was like you work on it for 3 hours to ride it for 30 minutes.
That's the life.
But that was the best 30 minutes ever.
Absolutely, that's the life right there.
And we just thought it was amazing. Like you jump the driveway and like you're doing big things.
Yeah.
And then I went to Wyotech and come out and decided I wanted to race myself. So I saved up money and I bought I had a 4-wheeler already, so I went and raced 4-wheelers for a little while. And I was never backed or nothing like that. I raced to what I had money for.
So what is for those listening? What is life like whenever you have a desire to race? You have a vehicle that may not be up to standards of racing. How do you even get that ball rolling?
I mean, all honesty, like growing up, I didn't know how any of that worked either. I saw pictures of racing, and I'd see racing if it come on like local TV every once every 4 years. And I just thought it was like some kind of thing that you had to, I don't know, I thought there was like a million hoops you had to jump through to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when I got a 4-wheeler and I decided I wanted to go racing, I had some friends race dirt bikes. I said, bring it with. I got a 4-wheeler class. So I had basically a bone stock 400EX. And,
nice.
Which was an awesome 4-wheeler at that time. Went out there and it's literally, you sign up and you race.
Really?
And pay your due.
Yeah.
Pay your money to get in the gate. If it's an AMA event, you pay that little fee to be an AMA member,
sure,
which kind of covers insurance and stuff, and then you pay your fee for your class, and that's it. You just go race.
Yeah.
I thought there was more to it than that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids, like, if they didn't grow up around it and they see it and they want to try it, same way, like if their parents didn't grow up around it, they really don't know how to get into it.
Yeah.
They don't realize I'm just here to tell everybody that it's literally as easy as go to the track, pay your fees to get in, and race. It's literally that easy.
That's amazing, because I grew up exactly the situation that you just described, where none of my parents raced, no one I knew raced, and I thought, on the Sundays once a month at 4 a.m. in the morning when you saw racing on and there was some rerun, that these guys were professional racers. All they did was work on their units, and it was every single guy out there that lived that story. But to hear that it's just people who live a regular life, go out, do what they love to do, sign up for these events, and show up and race, that's amazing.
And that's on kind of a local entry scale. Mm-hmm. That's literally all it is. Like Facebook and social media and everything is so strong nowadays that if you were a kid and you had a dirt bike in your backyard, whether it be a XR80 or a CR125 or whatever, you could just post out, I want to go race. Can someone point me in the right direction?
Yeah.
And you would get some feedback because it's pretty easy. Now, back when I grew up, pretty younger, and yourself, we didn't have social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to rely on people that were around you, and if no one around you raced, we all just kind of rode around farms. Well, there's no real way to know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Now the people you see on TV and stuff like that, I mean, that's a little bit different. That is professional level. You do have to have, outside of an AMA membership, you have to have a pro card that you acquire, have so many years of pro class and points and all that kind of stuff. So you have to qualify for that. But at an entry level, just locally, literally you just find a track, find their ride days. I advise everyone to if you want to do motocross or trails or whatever, just look into a local group. There's a local group that comes here to my house, and they put on their annual picnic every year.
Really?
It's called Middle Tennessee Dirt Riders.
Yeah.
It's it's a dirt bike group, only dirt bikes.
Yeah.
But they're a little group, and I think the membership's like $40 a year.
Yeah.
And they have a ride every month somewhere in the state.
That's
or
amazing.
in the middle of the southeast area. So that's a perfect way to go.
These are just open groups that anyone
Yeah,
can
that's
be
an
a part
open
of?
group. It's a family-oriented group. Like, they come here, they put on their little picnic. It's kids and, parents and older people, and it's all kinds of people. Some people race, some people don't.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect kind of entryway to get into just riding with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone there has some knowledge of some sort, whether it's racing or just trail riding or whatever. And, it's just great people to be around. I love power sports and racing and all that kind of stuff just because it's very kind of family-oriented. Nearly anywhere you go, people help you for the most part.
Yeah.
Until you get to the high level, they'll still help you, but the competition's so big and so tight, and they're really kind of pushing so hard with companies and money and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That kind of takes some of the friendliness out of it. I mean, they're friendly person to person, but at the same time, they have their little secrets that they just can't let them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just part of it. But I mean, it's literally that simple to get. I advise everybody to get out and ride.
Yeah.
This last year, I did a power sports safety meeting, kind of a presentation thing at a school up in Wisconsin. And I'm working on doing that more and more. So we go to schools, we talk to and show a cool highlight video of Nitro Circus and all the stunts, and get kids excited and just encourage kids, adults, people, everyone, just go outside, get off your phones, and get out and ride.
Absolutely.
But also do it in a safe way.
Yeah.
Riding is what I live for. I love riding, and I love being involved with all this kind of stuff. And if we can kind of give everyone the little nudge and a little push that anyone can go out and ride, and just do it in a safe way. Have the right gear, have the right size bikes, and go online and take like the little safety courses and stuff like that. So you have a good general understanding of how to operate your machine in a safe way.
Sure.
If you start out safe, those safe skills will travel throughout your life.
You'll build the pattern.
And you'll have a pattern where everything's just natural.
So you said one thing that I wanted to step back on. You said find the right size bike. Is it a common issue for people? Do they ride undersized bikes, oversized bikes? What do you find more often?
Well, when I say the right size bike or machine, every OEM has kind of a guideline of, if you're under the age 18, you shouldn't be on this. And,
okay.
I don't think you can ever be on too small of a bike because we race mini bikes against each other.
Absolutely.
And actually, a mini bike will hurt you way faster than a big bike because you don't respect it.
Trust me, I understand.
But I think as a early learning for kids, they kind of need to stick within the right size range.
Yeah.
Because a smaller bike is easier for a smaller kid to operate. You can. Sure, a kid could get on a bigger bike or a bigger four-wheeler or a bigger UTV, and they could handle it. And if they've been around it a lot and they've rode a lot, they'll probably handle it just fine.
Yeah.
But it's all a kind of a size reference to the size of the person.
Sure.
It kind of makes sense. It's easy for myself to handle a 200-pound bike because I weigh like 180 and I've been doing it forever.
Right.
But to put a little 65-pound kid on there, it's kind of overweighting them pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not to say they couldn't handle it.
Sure.
There's a lot of kids that can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think as an early general learning curve, if you get the right gear and the right size motorcycle or four-wheeler or whatever, and kind of build your way up, later on in life, even just a few years down the road, things are just easier.
Yeah, I agree.
And it all becomes just a natural habit. I've been hurt more times goofing off than I was ever hurt racing.
Yeah.
Because when you're racing, you're fully geared. You're focused on what you're doing. You're trying to make things work.
Yeah.
If you just hop on your bike and scoot across the field and you're not even thinking about it, and I've hit ditches and rocks and whatever that I didn't know they were, and flipped me over the bars and pulled my knee and stuff like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Prime example, my brother.
Yeah.
He loves riding dirt bikes. My track is right here beside my house, and this is before my house was here. I was out of town with Travis and whatever. He goes back here and rides by himself all the time. And I said, man, you don't need to do that. If you do, keep your phone. I was like, He's like, well, it's home track. I know everything, and I don't jump to bigger stuff. I was like, that's fine. I said, but still, freak things happen. Just be careful. He was done riding. He was riding back to the shop. And we have a little bitty jump that you hop over a ditch.
Yeah.
He went to hop over that ditch. and his chain broke on the face of that little jump. Flipped him forwards, broke his leg right there in the field. And he's there by himself.
Yeah.
And it's a freak thing. Like, it shouldn't have happened. But,
he was out there by himself.
He was out there by himself.
Wow.
He couldn't get up because it broke his leg, down between his knee and his ankle.
Ooh.
And he basically drug himself across the field like 200 or 300 feet until he saw my mom go by on the road.
That's a war story.
And he just started yelling.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's in, pretty excruciating pain.
Yeah.
He yelled. She come down there, found him, put him in the car, took him to the hospital, and it got all fixed. It was lucky it was only that, only a broken leg, which is bad. But at the same time, if it was a femur or something like that, I mean, there's a small possibility you could bleed out and die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just got to be careful, and I think keeping people around you. I don't think people should ride on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just start out safe.
Yeah.
And kind of keep that safety with you. If we can really promote that safety, and power sports is safe and fun.
Absolutely.
I think we're doing something good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to transition. The next thing is, you mentioned your compound and how you have a track around here. So this is my first time being out here, and walking out here, this is every man's dream. You walk into a half shop, half house, and the house is excellent. It's just everything you've seen on Facebook or pictures on the internet. It's everything you've ever wanted. He's got a track literally within sight of his shop. It's amazing. So what, we talked a little bit about it beforehand, but what does it take? What's your case you'd make for having this versus a traditional house?
Well, I mean, this, like I said earlier, like I grew up, I just loved power sports. And I knew early on I was going to do something with it. I wanted to race and be pro. I started too late. At the end of the day, that's all it was to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't lack of wanting. It was lack of money, lack of skills, because I started pretty late in the game.
When did you start?
I started racing when I was 18, 19 years old.
Okay, yeah.
But that's when I could pay for everything on my own.
Right, absolutely.
So, that's just kind of how it worked out. My mom watched Travis's documentary, 199 Lives, and she come up to me, and afterwards she's seen it, and I still haven't seen all of it. Sure. And she's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, why? She's like, you always wanted to race, and I never knew how to make it happen. We were working and, just trying to, keep everything going. Yeah. I was like, no, that's fine. That's part of it. Yeah. You do what you have to do. Yeah. You don't get to pick the cards you're dealt. I took it upon myself to make it to where I could race and just save pennies and go race and then come back and work next week to race again. Yeah. And, over the years, it went up and it went down and all that kind of stuff. But I always knew I was going to do something in power sports. And our family property here, we have a couple 100 acres. And I figured, well, I'll build a house here somewhere. And over on this side of the property, I already have my track in this field. And this second lot that's our land also, there was a single wide trailer here. And I just decided, I'm going to build something right there. Yeah. So I got on my dozer, because I build tracks for a living also. Build motocross, supercross tracks, X Games. I assist in all those kind of things. Yeah. So I had a dozer here that I, rented, and I just started pushing trees down. Yeah. And every time I come back home, I'd push a little bit more, and I'd push a little more dirt out, and then I'd leave, and it took me probably 6-8 months to get the dirt pad flat, how it needed to be. Yeah, absolutely. We went and borrowed some money, and I said, this is what I want. And I used Google SketchUp to build some jumps. Very nice. So I drew out a house. Yeah. Basically just a shop with an apartment in the front half of it. Okay. And it's a 2-level apartment. Okay. So that's kind of what I did. And I put lean-tos on both sides to keep my equipment and my bikes and stuff in, so my shop's not always cluttered, and it's still cluttered right now. I went out there. It actually, I don't want you to see my shop because mine's a little smaller, but it's slammed to the brim. Yeah, we have quite a bit of stuff, but that's just I'm self-employed. Sure. And I work on things, and I help people that race, and I work on their little things, and I work on my equipment, so I'm in and out and around all the time. So that's what's most efficient for me. Yeah. I have a house and a shop all under one roof, and I can open a set of double doors and pull a razor in my living room if I feel like
You
it.
can. You 100% can.
Or I can just walk out there and work on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's just what I chose.
Yeah.
And after looking into it, I couldn't put this kind of money and get this kind of square footage out of a house.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically a pole barn with some dividing walls in it. Is basically the simple of it what it is. But we've got stained concrete floors.
Very nice.
And, all nice appliances and all that kind of stuff. And,
this is very, very nice.
it's just work hard and save your pennies, and it all works out eventually. It does take time. Nothing happens overnight. I'll tell everybody that, including backflips. Like I can relate a backflip to I can relate to all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've taught numerous people how to backflip on like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And most people, as soon as they come off the ramp, they pull, nothing happens, and they let go.
Yeah.
Well, if you treated life like that, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
It takes time. So if you go into a backflip and you pull on it, just hold on to it for a second. It'll start, and then it'll happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same way in life. Life's kind of the same way,
Yeah.
I kicked the dirt off, and I got it all flattened out.
Yeah.
And that was the initial start. And I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight, but in a year, we built this place.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of average time frame on something like this. I think houses and subdivisions are popping up pretty fast, but
that's a different story.
Whole different world. And so, that's what I've always wanted, so that's what I built.
Well, it's very nice, and thank you again for having me out here.
Oh,
this is
no
very
problem.
Cool. But let's go ahead and talk. Let's get into the next one. So you mentioned you built your own track out here. You built your ramps. You're a ramp builder. You're a track builder. Obviously, that falls under the umbrella for Nitro Circus for what you did for them. So how do you, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but as far as getting into building ramps, there's definitely an art to it. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I do mostly the dirt side of stuff. And Nitro, we do have kind of a crew of guys that do the metal ramps, and I help with it. But they kind of use the Google SketchUp also. They'll lay out a ramp, on there and pull the measurements, and they'll just mimic it to real life. But those guys can roll out a ramp. They can build a normal dirt bike freestyle ramp about 4 hours.
Are you joking? That's amazing.
And it looks kind of complex, but it's really a lot of straight pieces, and they roll out a couple tubes, and then they're quick.
Yeah.
And I grew up on a farm, running tractors and building my own little jumps and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of that comes from experience.
Sure.
Just time in the seat, time riding, time racing, kind of knowing what works, what doesn't. Going to a track and I like this.
Yeah.
And kind of remembering that jump.
Sure.
But I didn't like this.
Sure.
And just thinking in my head, well, I would change this a little bit like this.
Sure.
And then when I come back and I build something that I'm going to ride on or someone else, that's in my head. I was like, all right, well, let's try to build it like that.
Yeah.
Let's build it a little bit better. My end goal with dirt work and all that stuff, building tracks for people is, when I'm building it for personal people, unless they're a pro racer, and I do build for a few pro racers.
Sure.
Pro racers, they want it fun, but at the same time, they want it challenging so they can keep their skills up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where most personal people, they want it fun.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people have the ideas of great big doubles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I tell people, I said, man, it's just dirt.
Yeah.
I can shape it however you want to. I can build you the nastiest double you've ever seen. And I said, you'll probably not jump it.
Yeah.
Or I can build you something pretty similar to it that looks a lot safer and is a lot safer.
Yeah.
And you'll get nearly the same result out of it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it's experience. With our stunts, like the triple flip and those ramps, there's a lot of calculation into them.
Yeah, certainly.
And that's a lot of stuff that kind of we keep within.
Sure.
That doesn't go out.
Absolutely.
We have the front flip ramps that work.
Yeah.
And other people have built them. And it's funny because our ramp guys, Travis, all right, we'll send in the measurements for this front flip ramp. I was like, man, that's messed up. You ought to just let our guys build it. That way it's always the same.
Absolutely.
He's like, well, whatever. He's not about money. He's just about progressing the sport. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. Well, some guys down in Australia built ramps. It didn't work. Had to send our guy down there to fix it.
Yeah.
And there is in some stuff that's that technical, there is a lot of knowledge within knowing kind of where to put weight and where to put a radius and where not.
Yeah.
And dirt, we do a lot of the same things. I can build the exact same things out of dirt.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if we're doing a new ramp or a new jump, we'll build it out of dirt first.
Yeah.
Because we can adjust the dirt a lot faster
Then you can metal.
than you can a full metal ramp.
Absolutely.
So we'll get it really close,
Yeah.
and we'll get it where it acts exactly how they want it, and then we'll pull measurements off of it and, basically copy it to metal.
Okay.
But sometimes that doesn't work either.
Yeah. So you said the guys in Australia had issues and the front flip ramp just didn't work. How does it not work? How do you find out?
So the front flip ramp is a mechanical ramp. So it's got a gate on it that basically helps kick the back end over you.
Okay.
And I don't know what was wrong with it. I mean, they copied the measurements to what they sent, but evidently something was wrong because our buddy Steve went down there and fixed it.
Okay.
It took him about a day to fix it because you got to pull it apart.
Right.
You got to cut some things out, and some of it on a mechanical side of a ramp, weight's an issue because that flipper and that ramp setup has to move a certain way.
Sure.
And it has to move. The timing of it has to work right.
Yeah.
So. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
It's even hard to explain. You just have to be there and watch it. And that's not working.
So have you ever tried the front flip?
No, I haven't messed with it. I had to do backflips on mini bikes, big bikes.
Yeah.
I did a backflip on a four-wheeler in the Nitro movie.
Yeah.
And, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
The front flip ramp, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll just put one up to the foam pit and do it just to do it.
Sure.
I think as we get older in life, you kind of realize what you're good at and what you're not.
I agree.
And stick with what you're good at.
Especially at the caliber of doing a front flip on a dirt bike.
Well, the way that ramp's built, I'm not saying it's foolproof.
Sure.
But it does help.
Okay.
And we've put people on bikes and that really have no skills whatsoever.
Okay.
And the front flip, the ramp and the gate and everything on it, it does help kind of kick it a little bit to get it started. But the rest of it's on the rider.
Yeah.
To kind of, in their head, know what to do to make it keep coming.
Yeah.
Either to make it flip quicker.
Right.
Or to slow it down.
Right.
So on a backflip, you can slow a flip down, but you can't speed it up.
Right.
So you almost have to spin it too fast and then slow it down by
just
pushing away from it and getting it out.
Yeah, certainly.
On a front flip, it's kind of the opposite. You can speed it up, but you can't slow it down.
Yeah.
Like once it's going, it's going.
So this whole idea of speeding up and slowing down, is this something that y'all take a more science, physics approach, or is this just I'm just going to go out there and I know how this feels, and it's one of those things that when you go off a jump in a side by side, as soon as you're in the air, this is going to be terrible, or you've missed the landing, or you're going to come short. Is it the same feeling when you're doing a backflip?
Does it feel that bad to you?
Yeah.
In the air? Because it feels that bad to me. Before I even hit the ramp, I know whether I'm going to make it or not.
Yeah. No, trust me. Sometimes you have that feeling, but when you're coming off the ramp, you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. On the building end, it's a lot of trial and error. On the people hitting it, again, it's a little bit of trial and error. It's a lot of past experience. To knowing, Travis is kind of the ringleader.
Sure.
He knows what works and what doesn't. And we can build some unreal stuff, and he'll go do it, and he'll make it. And he might even struggle a little bit, but he'll figure it out to make it work.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean everybody else can.
Is he just?
We've already experienced that a couple times. We built some big, insane ramps.
Yeah.
And he blew people out. Come on, let's hit it. Let's get this in the shows.
Yeah.
And guys hit it twice, and we're like, no, I'm not hitting that no more. He's like, oh, come on, So then he finds somebody else, and he's like, all right, this guy is a decent rider, but he really doesn't have any kind of trick skills.
Yeah.
And he's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, because he doesn't know no better.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, but still, come on. And
so
it just takes a lot of time to get people, because in general, people don't like going outside of their comfort zone.
Certainly.
And when they're nearly asked to do it on command, that's when people react the opposite, even worse.
Yeah, they shrivel up.
Or he strives on that. He doesn't love to get out of his comfort zone, but that's when he works the best.
Yeah.
Is when times are really tight, you got to make it work now. That's when he works the best. And there's very few people like that.
I was going to say, we all know those people that when it really comes down to crunch time, they always seem to pull through. Is that just something that's baked in from birth, you think? Or is this something that is learned over his years of doing this?
I think it's a little of both.
Okay.
I think that mentality and that aspect in your mind, I think that can be I think that can partially be taught from day one, like early on.
Right.
But you have to have that kind of initial push and initial mindset to, it's going to be all right. I'll make it work.
Yes.
If you've always had a mindset of, I don't know, you're always kind of hesitant, and your surroundings, people around you have always kind of been hesitant, you're going to kind of fall that direction.
Yeah.
And not say you can't get out of it, but you nearly have to branch totally away from it until you get okay with it, and then you come back.
Now, that whole idea of hesitation is something that I personally have learned over time, but I see it all the time, and I see it on Instagram and all the videos of people having really bad accidents. It seems like if you hesitate, you will have an issue.
Yeah.
You've got to fully commit to something. If you want something to happen, if you want to make the jump, if you want to make the trick, you've got to be committed from the time that you take your foot off the ground and you go.
Yeah. And the biggest mistake a lot of people make, not necessarily on the early on learning, where you don't really have much knowledge, you're just learning, but the people that do have the skills, the biggest mistake is you second guess yourself.
Absolutely.
And I'm guilty of it. There's many other people, like I could probably go out there, and if I didn't think about it, if I just went, I'm doing a flip, to the foam pit or whatever, a small flip. If I just went over there and did it and just yanked on it and made it work, my reactions from the past would kick in, and I would just naturally make it work.
Yeah.
But if I come up to it and I second guessed it, all of a sudden, well, then everything freezes and then it goes bad.
Absolutely.
And that goes everywhere from like a flip to climbing a hill to, crossing the intersection. I mean, it kind of goes throughout life.
Yeah, I agree.
The second guessing is not always the best thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's the safest thing, and people tend to stay towards safety, and that's fine. I encourage people to go towards things in a safe manner.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
if you're going to
this country didn't get built off of safety.
Absolutely. That's what I like to hear.
There's risk.
Absolutely.
There is risk, and it's a risk and reward ratio.
Certainly.
And is the risk really worth the reward?
Yeah.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Correct.
So you just have to justify that on yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to risk it, there's someone else that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So how often are you currently, like nowadays, traveling for Nitro Circus? I see you out and about quite a bit.
I mean, I travel for Nitro and help Nitro, kind of all depending on film dates and stuff like that, what we're building and all that kind of stuff. And then I travel, with Travis and help Travis, kind of the same thing, like whatever's needed. And, so it varies.
Okay.
I mean, there's never really a time off. I mean, the off time is like Thanksgiving until January 2nd.
Yeah.
That's about it. But because there's always, even if we're not physically doing things, there's things in plans.
Sure.
Like, there's emails and texts and things like that come across. And,
those things take time.
Well, a lot of stuff, like we said earlier, nothing happens overnight.
Sure.
And so, you can go put gas in your razor or your foil or whatever, and you can go ride tomorrow. Yeah, that's easy. But that to some people that's a goal.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. But when you're planning what we're planning, like some of the biggest stunts in the world, it doesn't happen overnight.
No, I understand.
There's a lot to it.
That's good that there's a lot to it, because if you guys were trying to do the big stunts and you just thought of it at lunch and tried to do it by dinner, it probably wouldn't be.
That's happened too sometimes. But everything's at his house. Everything's set up. It's like, hey. And they were already riding. It's like, hey, I think this should work.
Yeah.
Try this, this, and this. So they'll just run back there and try it.
So what's the craziest thing that they've thought of like that, where they're like, you know what, let's try this while everybody's out here, and it's been successful?
It's hard to ask me those kind of questions because to me nothing's crazy.
That's very true.
I come accustomed to it. Where it's like, oh, well, let's go back there and try three flips, 2 spins. I'm like, okay, what do you need?
Yeah.
And we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like he's tried like 1 flip, 1 spin. He tried that in X Games years ago. Shattered his ankle.
Yeah.
And I was with him the entire time through that, as far as practicing every single day.
Yeah.
Foam pits 100 plus degrees.
Yeah.
And jumping like 10 times in a row. Go eat lunch, come back, jump 10 times in a row. Go hit the pool. Eat some food, come back 10 times in a row again.
Yeah.
He's jumping in a foam pit like, pushing between 30 and 60 times a day.
Yeah.
And we have the operation where it works extremely fast to get him out, keep him moving.
Yeah.
Because you have to, on something like that and those kind of big events, you have to treat everything like it's the very first time.
Right.
Because you're not getting a second chance.
Yeah.
So you got to come in there basically blind and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like he had said earlier, you know, and they had tried it for years on like the soft landings and stuff like that. He's like, I think 2 flips and 2 spins will work easier. I said, man, that makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't know about that.
But whatever.
Yeah.
You know what you're feeling. And,
Yeah.
And he actually did it.
Wow.
On the Action Figures 2 movie. It's been out on Sony Crackle. It'll be out for purchase come March.
Okay.
Action Figures 2. And in that movie, it shows him 2 flips, 2 spins. He did it to a landing and rode away.
Oh, my gosh.
And we had it set up earlier in that day to a different airbag.
Yeah.
And he was pushing it hard. And he wasn't fully committing to it. He was just making sure he had enough time to feel it out. And he's like, I've got it. And, you know, myself and, you know, we're there to make sure he has whatever he needs to make it work. Whether it's bikes, water, you know, ramps, whatever.
Just the ultimate support staff.
Yeah, we are the support staff that keeps him and Nitro running.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm not acrobatic. So I can't really picture it. He's telling me, if I turn my head at this time, it'll create this and this. And I was like, yeah, buddy, sounds good to me. I was like, I'm sorry. I said, I don't get it. I said, I see it, but I don't. But we had our buddy Trevor Jacob there. He's an Olympic snowboarder.
Sure.
And Trevor was like, yeah, I see it. Do this, this, and this, and it'll work.
Madmen. That's what they
and so, like, when you get people with that same mindset together,
sure.
I mean, it's amazing and it's unreal, but it's almost dangerous at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the craziest things that I've seen.
Sure.
Just from it to go from nearly nothing to that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 6-year period. What it took to make that trick happen.
That's amazing.
Now, as far as like one-time stunts,
sure.
I mean, he did the Evel Knievel thing last summer, and that's awesome, and that's a reenactment of Evel.
Right.
And it's not taking anything from Evel whatsoever. That's a tribute to Evel.
Sure.
A lot of the older generation, even like that day and later on, you know, I've run into older people and they're like, well, you know, Evel did it on a bike with only 60 horsepower and all this, and, you know, he didn't have practice and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, I said, we're not taking that from him.
Right.
Like, that man showed what's possible.
Yes.
I was like, but that doesn't mean we need to walk backwards and do it.
I agree.
I was like, we have the technology. We might as well use it.
Yeah, do better, do bigger.
So, you know, that was all, you know, very laid out.
Sure.
You know, between bike setup and ramp setup and, you know, to where it's a live show. Like, it needs to work exact.
Yeah.
And so that's how it was laid out.
For our listeners, what is the stunt he actually did? Just in case anyone doesn't know.
Oh, so the Evel Knievel tribute was back last summer. And it was just a tribute on 3 of Evel Knievel's most iconic jumps. One of them was over so many Greyhound buses.
Yeah.
The other one was the Caesar's Palace.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Caesar's Fountain in front of Caesar's out in Vegas.
Yeah.
And the other one was, I want to say it was over cars or something like that. It was 3 different distances.
Sure.
And but at the end of the day, comparing to what he's did, there's no comparison.
Sure.
Like, he's done way more technical things.
Absolutely.
We're not, like I say, we're not taking nothing from Evel. It's a tribute, and it's kind of a connect the dots, because you have the older generation that watched it happen. You have the mid generation that may have seen it and kind of seen it on TV and seen like later on, and like, wow, that's pretty neat. And the younger generation has no clue who he is.
Yeah.
So it's trying to connect the generations and show like, this is where action sports started.
Yeah.
Is this awesome old guy just had an idea of like, well, let's jump my Harley like a long ways. And,
a Harley of all things.
And jump it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where that all went. And,
I
mean, there's plans for future. You
Cool.
just have to wait and see.
Cool.
You
That's
know,
exciting.
There's more that I can talk about. And there's more that I don't even know.
Yeah,
So, you know,
that's
there's
exciting.
a lot of cool things going on.
Well, good. No, good. So I want to go back to you, and I want to talk about what you've been up to. Obviously, you're a side-by-side driver. You're wildly popular on social media. Let's talk about the rigs that you're running right now. How many units do you have? What brand do you like to run? Tell us about that.
Well, so as he spoke earlier, I started on go-karts, and four-wheelers, and went dirt bikes, and I raced a long, long time. And then the Razor come out in 08. And I picked up my first Razor, I don't know, probably 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Our neighbor up in Maryland had a 08 Razor 800.
Yeah.
And he wanted to sell it, and it just sat outside. So I bought it, at a pretty cheap price. And I still have it now. That's kind of where I started, but I only used it for ride trails a little bit around the farm just to kind of get around and see things and carry somebody with. And that's all I used it for. And then the XP1000 come out. Yeah. And when I first saw the XP1000, I saw it at my local dealership. I was like, that thing's way too big. Yeah. Way too big. Like, that thing, that's not going to fit down any trails. Yep. No one's going to buy that. Yeah, I've got 4 of them now.
There it is. So let me ask you this. Did you ever have a 900? Or did you just jump 900s?
I never had a 900. We had one that we filmed with. It got wrecked numerous times.
I like it.
And I only drove it once.
Yeah.
And
what'd you think 800 to 900 when you got behind the wheel?
I thought the power was unreal.
Sure.
And then Travis acquired 2 1000s through Polaris. Got them at a good deal, and they showed up, and I was like, all right, well, what do you want to do with these things? He's like, well, I want to, he's like, we need to try to see if we can incorporate them with some of the stuff we do. I was like, all right. So we just took 1000s, and we, my buddy here locally, Wide Open Design, he built cages for them. Just so, because we knew they were going to get cartwheeled. We knew that.
Absolutely.
Because when we're filming, you don't necessarily want to put someone that's a good driver in it. Yeah. You want to put someone in it that's just willing to try what you tell them to try. So that makes the best film. Yes, because they'll point and they'll shoot and they'll do exactly what you say. Yeah. They may not necessarily land it right away. Yeah. But until that point, it's going to look awesome. Absolutely. So we had the 1000s, and being good friends with some pretty high up people. The lead singer from Florida Georgia Line, Tyler Hubbard. Yeah. So we made good connections with him. Yeah. One of our connections worked for EVS at the time, which is pads, helmets, stuff like that. Right. He knew Tyler before he was even singing. Wow. Years ago. Yeah. So he introduced Tyler to all of us, and they had started singing and pretty popular. Yeah. They come out and filmed a little bit at Travis's house, and Tyler lives here, just outside of Nashville. Sure. And he reached out to me and he said, hey, I bought some property. I want to build a motocross track. I grew up riding. Yeah. So I went out there and met with him. He grew up riding and loved riding. But he said, we're so busy that I don't want to drive hour, 2 hours to a track. Just ride for a couple hours and come back. He said, I'm not home much. Yeah. He said, so I bought this property. I want to just build a track here so I can ride right out of my garage. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Everyone wants a track at their house. Yeah, absolutely. So we laid him out an awesome, fun, technical but safe track. A couple big jumps, some small stuff, a little bit of everything. Yeah. And he loves it. He rides every chance he gets. Really? And, talking with Travis, and, he wanted to try to set a record jump. Yeah. This is back when the 1000 was like barely a year old. Now,
Travis or...
Well, he wanted to set up a record jump of some sort. Okay. And then we'll pick someone to drive.
Oh, okay. I know where this is going.
So, I said, man, I've got room, and I said, but at my place, we're going to have to pull some trees, and we're going to have to make a runway and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I said, you might talk to Tyler. I was like, because he's got some hillsides we can kind of incorporate, and we wouldn't have to move quite so much dirt. Right. So we got a hold of Tyler, and he's like, yeah, man, come on. And they were actually having a Nitro show in Nashville. Uh-huh. So we kind of planned it around that. That way everyone's already there. Yeah. And so we built a takeoff ramp, and it was jumping down a big, long downhill, like the perfect setup. Yeah. And that was kind of our first stunt with like a Razor 1000.
How long was it?
It was 100 foot just to the downhill. Which
that's so long.
Which is a long ways.
Yeah.
But in turn, if there's motocross tracks with 120 foot jumps on them, but it's jumping up a hill. It's all incorporated into the land. So if it's built within the terrain, it doesn't seem that big. Okay. But if I was to put a ramp right here and go 100 feet out
on flat
and build a landing, you're like, no way.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
way too far.
Absolutely.
So it's all a visual thing.
Okay.
So we laid it out, and Travis hit it a few times on a bike. We had a radar gun set up. Yeah. And he's like, all right, we need to go, roughly this fast. That fence is in the way. So they pulled the fence out of the way. So it started on the neighbor's property. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, we couldn't go fast enough.
Yeah.
And Tyler was supposed to jump it. And after he watched Travis try it like once or twice, he's like, "No, man, I'm good. I'm good." He's like, "I'm all about it." But he's like, "That's just," he said, that skill level might be a little bit more than what I really want to handle right now.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
So, we tried it, and it went okay. We weren't able to set no record, but I mean, we flew 120 feet or something like that. And
so who was driving it?
Travis was driving.
Travis drove it, okay.
And they even came to me, and they're like, "Well, here, you just jumping." I was like, "Man, y'all paying me to run a dozer and be able to jump."
Yeah.
I was like, "You ain't paying me to do that. I'm sorry."
Man, I'm not sure.
And not like I'm scared. It's just like, I was like, "You're wanting me to focus on all these other things and do this?"
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
you got to prepare yourself for something like that.
I mean
regardless
within
of the
reason.
size. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even if I was just to follow him on a bike, hit it on a bike, I'd instantly feel better because, all right, I have a feeling of the
You're
speed.
comfortable.
Yeah. So whatever. That was our kind of initial first thing with Razor 1000s.
Yeah.
And then when we were doing the action figures, the first video, we built a bunch of different things around his house. And we had like a rhythm section built that I had built for Razors, and like I would drive one, Travis would drive one, and we'd chase each other through it.
Yeah.
And then we had like some over and under jumps built where one was going under while others, we built all kind of cool things. And I mean, I spent a lot of time fixing these things.
I believe it.
We would point at things and put someone in there that really didn't know what was going on and say, "All right, go, hit it this fast."
Yeah.
And they'd go cartwheeling.
Oof.
And we got to where we could fix them pretty fast.
Yeah.
Put really good parts on them.
Yeah.
And then have breaking points that don't take long to fix.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a smart way to build them.
They have to break.
Right.
So you need to break the easiest thing it is to fix.
You're exactly right.
So, that's kind of where it initially started. And then it's just kind of gone upscale,
Yeah.
If you're, there's a couple people in our group say if you're idling, you're dying. You always need to be progressing.
Yeah.
And you always need to be challenging to try to go more.
Yeah.
And, I fully believe that. It's maybe not necessarily every single day. Like, it's hard pressed to up yourself every single day.
Yeah.
Like, to up yourself 365 days a year, that's hard.
Yeah, you'll end the year at a rough spot, too.
He'll be broke.
Yeah.
And broke out of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, it is to set goals and always kind of progressing and always trying to move up.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And I try to do that myself, with the power sport safety and, the adventure rides I do and stuff like that. And then, I'm involved with Nitro, and we're always trying to push the envelope and just, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to show what's possible.
Certainly.
And show people, in general that it's, there's more possible than what you think there is.
Sure.
And if we can do that a couple times a year, that's the end goal.
That's huge.
Travis's goal for Nitro Circus in general is he wants to hang out with his friends.
Yeah.
And challenge each other and push each other, past what you're normally comfortable. And not really have to, and kind of make that a job.
Yeah.
So that's the goal with him and Nitro, is just hang out with friends and, not have to worry about too much. Just challenge each other, and that's kind of our jobs. And he's done very well. He's developed that into where, there quite a few of us are still part of it.
Sure.
And some people have kind of branched and done their own thing, but they're still part of it. Jolene does a lot of stunt work for movies and stuff like that. She was in Batman.
What?
Driving the two-wheel motorcycle thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That was Jolene driving that.
You talking about like Dark Knight?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she was driving the two-wheel thing. Like, quite a few scenes in that movie.
Wow.
Like, that's badass.
Yeah, that is the coolest thing I've heard in a long time.
Here recently, she did some chase scenes where she had to jump a dirt bike, and I help her lay out a ramp and give her some angles and measurements, and I talk with the ramp coordinators and all that kind of stuff on what it is to build.
Yeah.
And so she's done that.
That's amazing.
Tommy has a big strive to eat. Barbecue is his big thing. He loves barbecue.
There you go.
And he's got with some of the barbecue masters in the country.
Wow.
And he started his own barbecue spot called Looney Bin Barbecue.
Where's it out?
It's in Maryland.
Maryland, okay.
It's in Crofton, Maryland.
Okay.
Look up Looney Bin Barbecue. It's amazing. Like his brisket.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'd die for some brisket.
Oh man, the brisket, like, it doesn't need sauce.
Oh.
And if you try that, you'll go back and smack anybody you can find. It's like, why didn't you make anything this good? It's like unreal.
Yeah.
And then, Special Greg, he went to NASCAR when Travis went to NASCAR on the pit crew for the tire changing. Well, now he is a pit crew coach for Stewart Haas Racing.
That's amazing.
I mean, his age, like, not that he's not fit, his age and quickness, as we get older, you know, it's just not as keen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's a coach for Stewart Horse Racing.
That's amazing.
You know, he was a wheel hanger for numerous years.
That's
for a lot
crazy.
of big teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, those guys make pretty good money.
Yes,
and a lot
they
of the
do.
NASCAR, what people don't realize is a lot of the NASCAR speed crews are made from college athletes that didn't go pro.
Really?
Yes, because so much time is won or lost in just the pits.
Absolutely.
That they don't need people with mechanical backgrounds.
Yeah.
They need people with athletic work backgrounds.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got football players and basketball players that they know nothing but to work out and be in shape.
Yeah, and the dexterity, too.
And they're good with their hands.
Exactly.
Their hand-eye coordination
Yeah.
is very good. So we can easily teach you how to run an impact gun.
Yeah.
Or how to put a tire on. He's
Point
like, that's
and shoot.
easy.
Yeah.
He's like, the teaching the physical aspect of being in shape and all that kind of stuff, you can't teach that.
Absolutely.
And that's all these guys done their whole lives.
Yeah.
So you roll in, you know, a wheel changer, you roll in over $100,000 a year. You know, but it's a tryout process. I mean, I tried out for it just for the heck of it one day. And the coach, you know, we got along great. And he's like, here, you just try running the gun. He's like, let me go ahead and tell you. He said, if you were going to try out for our team, you would spend a week with that gun just hitting lug nuts with no air on it.
Wow.
Just so you could hit the pattern and not even look at it.
Right.
He said that way it's part of you. It's how you move. And I'll say it's a lot harder than what it looks.
I would.
By far. I mean, like.
Yeah, the pressure.
I hit them off, you
Yeah.
know, pretty decent. We put them back on. You know, he's like, "Purr,
Yeah.
purr," and it went all the way around. And I'm like, all right, it's on. He's like, you welded them on. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, it hammered more than one time. He said, I said, well, they won't come off. He's like, that's good. He said, but it takes that millisecond extra for them to come off next time.
Right.
So that's the thing
amazing.
of just consistency and practicing in the field. And,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, like Nitro, we're all still a real tight family.
Yeah.
And everyone, even though they've gone and done different things, we're all still family. So we're all still together.
I love that.
As far as like holidays and get-togethers and film shoots and whatever else.
I love that.
But, you know, walking backwards, we got kind of far off track.
Yeah. No,
long story long is what we say.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where the UTVs and the Razors came from. We started there, action figures. Then we've developed them into more and more things. Travis loves running Razors. Mm-hmm. More so just to scare who's ever riding with him.
I've been in a Razor with a couple people that scared me to death, and Travis Pastrana is probably the
he
top
loves
of the
doing
list.
that. Like, I mean, he's one of the best drivers in the world.
I would agree with you.
Numerous time rally champion.
Right.
So running through the woods, flat out,
That's
no big deal. Like, it's
most insane driving. If you've never seen that, you listeners, if you've never seen someone go down in a rally car or watch Travis Pastrana do his rally car through the woods, I don't understand how he does it. I don't understand how he sleeps at night.
Just go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And search Travis Pastrana rally, and just watch one of those videos.
How fast are they going through the woods?
It just depends. I mean, it depends on the area.
Yeah.
You know, there's sections that are 100 plus.
Woo-hoo!
Now these are mostly gravel roads.
Yeah.
Forest roads that they've shut down for the rally.
Right.
But still, like 120 miles an hour down a, even if it's a 2-lane gravel road.
Yeah.
120 miles an hour down a 2-lane gravel road. That's not a lot of road to make.
120 miles an hour.
That's not a lot of mistake area.
Yeah, 120 miles an hour down the interstate is still, you know,
that's 4 lanes wide. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel as intense as like going down a hallway at 120 miles an hour.
Right, and I'm saying, you know, you could going down the interstate 120 miles an hour. Sometimes you can feel it, especially if it's a little windy. And just thinking about being down a hallway on gravel and this vehicle that doesn't weigh much more than, you know, what you've got in it. That's like next level scary.
Yeah, and he relates the Razor a good bit to that.
Really,
because we've got a loop through the woods. It's probably around a mile. Mm-hmm. And we can put different sections together.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
A couple turns are, you know, a little off camber, a little rough, and we got a couple jumps like doubles and stuff like that. We've got one jump on the course. Now you don't have to hit this section, but this jump's 100 feet. Now it's a hill.
Yeah.
It's a squared off tabletop hill.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a 100-foot jump on a course. And he flies out with people like in the dark.
Yeah. Oh, no way. Absolutely not.
I mean, but like he knows the course. He knows what he's hitting. So like,
I don't care how good you are. You know, if we're going around the corner and I see this tabletop that we're going to hit, and I don't see the other side of the landing, I'm gonna have that seat up in my.
You don't even know what it is because it's nothing but looks like a wall.
That's good. That's good. Yeah,
you don't know it until you're in the air.
I wouldn't do too good on that. I don't think.
But he very good driver, and you know that's it loves doing that in the racers.
Yeah.
Jolene and me, we go out and do laps on the course, and you know, of course, we're not as good.
You sure?
I think she's actually a better driver than I am.
Wow.
She's smooth and consistent and just goes.
Yeah.
And I'm smooth and consistent, but I feel I'm pretty reserved.
Sure.
I kind of save for the long haul as far as to keep it together for the whole deal. Where a lot of them are a little bit more just, you know, they're focused on that 5 laps, and outside of that,
that's
if I made it, that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's the race mentality right there coming.
So, I mean, Street Bike Tommy, he's good on the razors. We actually had a little competition. Travis gave him, he said, I'll do 1 lap. He said, and I'll give you 8 hours to match that lap.
Wow.
And it ended up being Travis was going to do 2 laps.
Yeah.
And his best time, Tommy had to come within 5 seconds of it. And he would get like a couple grand or something like that.
Whoa.
So, I mean, like I was full on like pit crew for Tommy for the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we sent Travis out early,
do
your lap, took his time, and so we wrote it down.
Yeah.
And we were doing it on Periscope live most of the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, something like that, like filming wise, all day long, it's kind of long. And there's boring times.
Sure.
But, you know, I said, all right, there's your lap time. If you come within 5 seconds of it, you know, through the day, you know, you'll get this much money. If you beat it, he said, I'll give you free rent for a year.
Woo!
Because Tommy rents the little house next door.
Yeah.
And Tommy's like, all right. And he's got his group of buddies that, you know, he grew up with. And,
pedal to the metal.
You know, we're all, you know, there for him. And his very best lap, I think, was 6 seconds off. I mean, he was there. And when he come off of that lap, like he was shaking. Because he was so amped up, but at the same time nervous. Like, I'm pushing it more than I've pushed it.
You're on the line. And,
I had to put a wheel back on a couple times and a couple axles and whatever else. And, you know, that's fine. You know, it's all part of it.
Right.
You know, if he wrecks it, fine. We'll pull another one out if we have it, or I'll fix it, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, he came extremely close.
Mm-hmm.
But even he says, you know, that was hard to beat.
That's crazy. So you ever get tired of fixing stuff?
At times, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
When we first got razors around their compound, and just in general, we did tear up quite a few things.
Absolutely.
Some of it was we were running, you know, OEM parts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is, you know, we just kind of abused them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I've seen videos of how you guys treat those things.
So we learn with time, with a razor, or really with any UTV, they have weak points built in them from the factory.
Right.
Like the axle's a weak point.
Mm-hmm.
The belt is a weak point, because if it didn't break and it was something else, it'd probably be a transmission. And,
Absolutely.
you know, these parts are much easier to fix and they're a lesser cost.
Absolutely.
And those are parts that people tend to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Say, okay, would you rather buy a $2,700 transmission or a $200 axle?
So that's something I always like to point out to people who are, you know, everybody gets a razor and they're like, oh, what upgrade should I make? What should I do this? I've heard, you know, you have to get better axles, you have to get stronger this and that. And I always put it like this. Basically, exactly what you just said. You're pushing the brake further down the line. If you upgrade your axles, it's going to be your differential next. If you upgrade your diff, might be your drive, you know, transmission, your drive shaft. It's going to just push it down into there until ultimately you've rebuilt your entire machine. Yeah,
and I mean, like, we work with Polaris, you know, pretty closely. Like, Travis is within marketing and race program, and I deal with those guys a good little bit, and know a lot of good people there, and know people at other companies too. And all the companies have that same mentality of you got to put some weak links in them, because yes, I mean, they could build a bulletproof machine from the factory. it'd be $75,000.
Yeah, it sure
And
would
who's
be.
going to buy that?
No, I don't know.
And I mean, there are people that would buy it.
Yeah, you're right. There's people that buy it.
But not as many people as would buy them right now.
I agree.
And the whole UTV scene blows my mind because, I didn't really go out and ride UTVs like publicly until probably like 2016.
Really?
Because we had them for a couple of years at his house, but they were only at his house.
Right.
We rode our trails, we did our stunts or jumps, and I had my little 800 here at my place, and I did, I just used it to get around.
Right.
Well, I had got a razor. I got one through a local dealership that a good deal, and I went over to Winrock Park in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it was like a New Year's ride, and I knew a couple people that were going, so I just went and met with them, rode around, and that was my first initial like, holy cow, look at all these UTVs. They're everywhere.
Right.
Because I grew up riding four-wheelers kind of trails, and we kind of got into racing, so it wasn't really a big deal. And then I got out in the public, and I said, these things are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
And they have all kind of accessories. You can make them like a little Jeep. You can cab them in, heat, radios, all this kind of stuff. And that was my initial, like, wow, this is big. And then my brain started running, just 100 miles an hour. Like, all right, racing's cool, but I want to do like adventures. I was like, because then anybody can come ride with me.
Right.
I can invite everybody. Let's go ride.
Yeah.
And I said, let's just go see what's out there. And I kind of branched it up from them. I went across country in 17 from ocean to ocean.
Yeah.
Following the Trans-American Trail. And we had a lot of people meet us up on the trail, like waiting for us. They saw me on tracking, met us up, and ride with us for a little while, and then go back home. And I had different special guests fly in, ride for a couple of days, and then fly back out, just to show what's out there.
Yeah.
So that was, our kind of entry to UTVs and all that kind of stuff. And we learned as far as the stunt end rather quickly, like what breaks, what doesn't break, what we need to replace, what we need to leave alone.
Right.
I put some heavy arms on one of them. Well, we bent the frame because the arms wouldn't give.
Wow.
Well, then I had to replace the whole front frame.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And luckily, you find the right people and you get some little helpful discounts, but it's still money out.
Right.
Everyone that's watching, listening, whatever, they might think Nitro Circus, it's all free. Well, no, we pay for most stuff.
Yeah.
Now we might get like discounts.
Sure.
But it's just like anybody else getting discount. You just kind of search for it and find it and whatever. So you can put too good of stuff on it. Yeah. And then something else is going to give.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now then you kind of back up and look at it. Well, if you're racing and you have if you have a lot into it, like going to race Baja or King of the Hammer or something like that. Well, you can't afford to have a failure. Right. Because you're so deep into it, even at like an entry-level person like myself, you're into it, gas money, entry fee money, you're into it thousands of dollars. Right. You don't show up to have a break in the first 20 miles. Yeah. And that end the whole day. Correct. So you have to build it tough enough to hold it. Right. But then at the same time, you have to learn to drive it to keep it together. Right. And we've learned that, like, Travis is rolling, he's never rolled one yet. Really? Yeah.
Like down a hill or on a track or anything?
Well, he only drives it at our place.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And so he home court advantage.
Yeah. But you really know what you're getting into.
He rode around Brimstone a little bit in one of my racers, followed me around to see some of the trails when we were there last May. And he's broke a handful of belts and a handful of axles, and we upgrade the axles to Super ATV and their line of Rhinos and 2.0s and such as that. We upgrade that just because we know that the people getting in them is not going to break everything else. Right. We have a good control of who's going into what. Right. They're more likely to rip the damn fenders off of it than break the transmission. Yeah. Because of our situation, so it's like we're not worried about all that kind of stuff. But like the hill killers and stuff like that, they break a lot of stuff, and yes, it does take a lot of power, and a lot of just make it go. Yeah. But at the same time, there is a balancing point of too much or not enough.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'd like to kind of ask is, so you went to Brimstone or Winrock and you had this experience where you went out on the trail road. For those who don't know, Brimstone, Winrock, Royal Blue, and some TWRA land all connect. And it's in East Tennessee, and it is this beautiful, 150,000 acres?
Well, I mean,
120.
Windrock's 73,000, Brimstone's 20,000,
Yeah.
and then Royal Blue, which is all TWRA land, and that's probably pushing about 60.
So you're in that ballpark of just this
Over, almost 200,000 acres.
No way to really explore all of this, and I mean, you could spend, I feel like, a month out there, never ride the same trail if you rode every single day for 8 hours. It's absolutely amazing, all of the features that are out there. Shout out to Windrock and Brimstone, Royal Blue, all of it. The parks are excellent. If you're in the east area, if you're in the southeast, especially Tennessee, give these parks a chance. But to get back to what I was talking about, you went there, and there's other parks in Tennessee and Alabama and the surrounding states where it's a little bit smaller, and they're a little bit more geared towards the hill killing, where everyone gets around a hill at these big race events, and they watch these guys go up the hill as fast as they can. It's essentially drag racing up a hill in the off-road world. What steered you towards the adventure racing, the long distance, hold your machine together, versus hill killing, for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I went to some of the hill killing events.
Sure.
And the stuff's awesome.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's amazing.
I've climbed hills, more so like we've climbed hills like when I grew up, four-wheelers and bikes. More so it was just climbing to get to where we're going.
Right.
And sometimes you get in little areas and you can climb a few hills and whoever could climb whatever and all that kind of stuff. That was all fun. Mm-hmm. But to see the hill killing part, like to see the UTV side, yeah, that's interesting to me.
Absolutely.
What's not interesting to me on that aspect is, I mean, you're in the machine for 2 to 3 minutes total. Mm-hmm. That's your run.
Right.
And if you break or you get a little crooked and you're out of time or whatever and you get out, that's fine. But if you do get to rolling, flipping, cartwheeling, it's not just one roll most of the time.
Right.
Most of the time it's numerous rolls and it's ripping parts off.
Super violent too.
It can be very violent, and you're leaving a trail of parts from wherever it started all the way to the bottom.
Absolutely.
That doesn't really appease me too much.
I understand.
In that aspect, you have to build like a bulletproof machine.
Yeah.
And even then, it's going to get torn to pieces.
Yeah.
If things don't go right. Now, I'm not saying that things never go right.
Right.
There's tons of great drivers that make it look easy.
Who's the best driver?
I don't know.
Hang on, let's go bouncers. Who's the best bouncer driver out there?
I can't say who's the best.
Okay.
But my co-driver for King of the Hammers this year was a guy named Wes King.
Oh, yeah. Wes King's
And
awesome.
Wes is an awesome dude.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Timmy Cameron.
Yeah.
Him and Wes are...
They're excellent
Him,
drivers.
Wes, and there's a handful of others. I mean, those are the top 5 guys
Absolutely.
in the country.
Every single time, too.
And there's a lot to be said for those kind of guys because, they've put it past just getting your machine ready and going racing and kind of seeing what happens.
Sure.
They build it, they test it.
They really have evolved that sport.
They've taken Timmy and Wes and those guys that do that have turned it into what NASCAR and motocross is and all that kind of stuff to where you build a machine, you go test it. Mm-hmm. And then you run it, and okay, I don't like this part. You go back, you change it, and you go out and test it again.
Right.
And it's a full-time job. 100%. And people don't fully realize that. But like if you want to be as good as these guys, it is a full-time job.
Sure.
And then if you got to make money also to live on also.
Yeah, you do.
So, they've gone above and beyond, and they've made it into a job.
Yeah.
And it pays off at the end.
Certainly it does.
Because people can say what they want, but those guys, when they get in that machine, they know exactly what it'll do, no matter where they point it, no matter what they hit. They know how it's going to react, so they know how to correct it.
Yep. That's
the difference between, people that go just race and people that go and race to win.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the full difference. And, I've heard it for years from Travis and all those guys. There's a certain aspect of, like his example was NASCAR. He's like, the top 20 guys will be in a 5-second time frame or less. Mm-hmm. He's like, so out of those 20, most of the public with any kind of racing, driving mindset could get pretty close to that top 20.
Yeah.
with time,
Yeah.
a lot of practice, whatever,
Yeah.
because we all kind of grew up driving cars and all
Sure,
that stuff.
sure.
He's like, there's getting into that top 20, that's something you can't really learn.
Yeah, I agree.
That comes from like early on, and just tons of seat time and tons of
Just that brain pathway of how knowing how to feel the car and everything like that.
Exactly. Every action has a reaction, and vice versa. So that's what those guys have done. They've taken the hill climbing, hill killing, as people call it, and turned it into that next level to where if you want to be as good as them, you have to make it a full-time job.
Yes, you do.
You have to, build your equipment, test it, and you have to test it in different conditions to know how to change it to make it work the very best.
Yeah.
And make it work how you want it to work.
Yep.
I know personally, and many people know that, like, Timmy built a buggy last year, and he builds all his own stuff. Like,
Correct,
he bends every tube, does every weld, he'll bolts it all together, and he went out and raced it a couple times and wasn't happy with it. It just didn't react the way he pictured it would.
Now that buggy had, for those who don't know, that buggy had leading arms in the front, which is essentially it's a 4-link system, if I'm not mistaken, where the upper arms are actually what would be trailing arms, where the shocks actually mount to those upper links, and the lower links are just standard links. And he runs trailing arms in the back, same system that he does normally. But I remember him watching that couple races he did with that. There was an insane amount of articulation, and there was an insane amount of dampening, and it looked almost as if the system worked too good. The suspension soaked up too much, was too responsive, and that speaks a lot to the driver's preference, exactly what you're saying. It comes down to how do you want your machine to respond, because he also, a few years previous, he built I've forgotten the name of it, but it was an IFS front car and a solid axle in the rear, and he raced it I think twice, and I just remember seeing an interview with him, and he said the suspension works too good. When I go to hit a hill and I go to hit a rock, I expect it to respond a certain way. I expect the suspension to bounce back, and he just didn't feel that way with the car, and he did the same thing he did last year, very similar. He turned around and just whipped out a brand new chassis, and ended up with a solid axle front and rear car, and seemed to do excellent in the series.
Yeah, and so like at the end of the day, it's like whatever the driver or rider prefers, and in aspects like that, it's easier to build something you're comfortable with than try to relearn how to drive.
Sure, for a new
because
vehicle.
you've drove this way or rode this way for X amount of years. To totally relearn, it's not to say that they can't do it. They could if they got enough time. But once a series has already started and you're committed to it and you got so much money into it, and you might have companies kind of wanting you to be there, you do whatever it takes to make it work out.
Absolutely.
And so in that aspect, those guys are perfectly capable. Like, well, it's not working.
Yeah,
we'll just clear the board and we'll start over.
That's amazing.
And it happens on Supercross.
Yeah.
The bikes that you see riders ride, it looks like the same bike you can buy on the showroom floor. And that's how it starts. It starts as that same bike.
Right.
But the teams have so much capabilities of, suspension is one thing to make it stiffer, slower, faster, softer, whatever. That's one thing they can change. That it's relatively simple to change. It's just tons of different settings.
Right.
But they have tons of different motor packages that can, make the power mellow and come on hard, or the other way around. They can change the power curve, and they'll have like 15, 20 different ignition settings. Different fuel injection settings.
Yeah.
They have tons of different packages.
Yeah.
So if they've got if you go like motor ignition, fuel injection, and suspension, and each section has like 20 different packages. Well, you've got 120 different packages there that you can mix and match and make the rider as comfortable as he possibly can. Because at the end of the day, you want the rider or driver the most comfortable to where they don't have to think about nothing but going.
Right.
If they have to think about, it's steering a little funny or it's doing this, that's taking away from the thought process of just getting to the front.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, that's what all that testing is doing, is that testing is taking all the thought out of it.
Okay.
To where they just hop in and they just say, I need to get up there.
Right. Right.
And I'm just going to make a path up there, and that's it.
Just send it to the top.
And so yeah, that's what it takes, and it's a job nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's no longer just hop in and go.
Yeah, and that's something that I've noticed over being a rock balancing fan for the last few years is how once these rigs and once the industry started to change, it changed so fast. It went from a couple guys out there riding, just seeing who could make it up a hill, to now it's a full-fledged organization that has huge prize money and everything like that. But anyways, to get back to you, you chose the adventure route, the long distance, the long race style. You said that started at Brimstone. When did you realize? Obviously, you had your big Rednek adventure where you guys went across the nation. What was going through your mind when you thought to yourself, "I'm going to take a side-by-side across the country"?
Well, the initial start of that was I was at Windrock, and I met a local guy there.
Yeah.
That me and a group were following him, and he's from Wartburg area up there, right in East Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Super good guy, and he used to love to go caving. Mm-hmm. And he was telling us how all the land was built and how the coal mines and all that kind of stuff. And just a very, very interesting guy.
Yeah.
Tons of knowledge and just super good guy. And so he got telling us, and then he was saying something about him and a buddy of his. They rode dual sport bikes across country.
Yeah.
And you think like just roads, whatever. He said, no, we follow the Trans-American Trail. I was like, oh, what is that? He's like, well, it's trails and back roads and county roads across the country.
Yeah.
He said it starts on the North Carolina-Tennessee state line, and it ends on the coast of Oregon. And it's not a direct route. It's just a back roads way across the country. And I was like, okay, that sounds awesome. He said, yeah, we did it in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That was on motorcycles.
Okay, all right.
Because of dual sport, just like motorcycle, we know we're 100 plus.
Yeah. That's pretty quick.
Especially if you get on, if you get on like a highway or something, you can zip on pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. He got telling me about it, and he said, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And he said, we got there, we were just going to rent a U-Haul, put them in the back, and just drive them back. He said, we got there, and we just turned around and rode back.
Wow.
But we rode back interstates. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. And I was super interested in it. So, and that following weekend, I flew out to Vegas for the SEMA show.
Okay.
To go meet some friends and go just see it. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got one of my best friends, Josh, lives out there. He's from my hometown here, but he lives and works out there. And I got telling him about it. Man, this trail, and I was looking up all kind of information on it.
Yeah.
And I said, we should do this. I said, we should get some dual sports and do this. And he said, man, I'd be in. He said, my off season is, roughly October to January. Mm-hmm.
It's not a good time to ride.
I was like, yeah, that's not ideal, man. I was like, from the research I've done, we need to be like in summer.
Yeah.
Maybe end of September, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Because when we're going through the Rockies and in Colorado, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Weather changes like at the snap of fingers and
absolutely.
snow. He's like, well, I won't be able to do that. And I was like, we can work it out. And
right.
I'll keep looking into it. Well, then I just had this thought of it, like, I was like, I wonder if anybody's done it on a UTV.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and I saw, initially I didn't see anybody that did it on a UTV.
Right.
And then I found a post of a guy that did it. Uh-huh. And they did it on 900s. And I got to looking into it more and more and more, and I found out it's a guy named Johnny Angle.
Okay.
He owns UTV Inc.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Out in Arizona.
Yeah, great.
And, being involved with Polaris and the race program with Travis and all that kind of stuff, I kind of did some feeling around, and I reached out and I got Johnny's number.
Yeah.
And I called him and I said, hey, I'm interested in that trail. Y'all did that. And,
yeah.
I had kind of a little list of questions, and he told me a little bit, and then I lost the call. And I was like, well, crap. And I tried calling back, and it didn't work out. And, I had lost service. I was over in the mountains.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, he told me kind of the basic rundown.
Yeah.
And, he said they did get pulled over. They got tickets, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, that sounds like a bummer, but at the same time, oh, well.
Risk reward right there.
Oh, well. So I got to looking into it, and I went to transamtrail.com, and I looked. That's where they got the maps from. So I bought every map that guy had.
Yeah.
GPS files, paper maps, I bought all of it.
Yeah.
So I could sit down and study it. And I looked at it, and I was like, well, I'm only going to do it if I can go ocean to ocean. because that's truly not cross country. You're missing a whole state there.
Right.
And they just followed what was routed.
Right.
So I reached out to LeadNav, the GPS that I use, and the guy at LeadNav, awesome guy, former military operator guy.
Okay.
That used to do a lot of mission planning.
Yeah.
So that's where the
alley.
GPS background comes from.
That's cool.
So I reached out to him, and he was more than helpful. He's like, yeah, get me the file so I can, kind of help you with the imagery. That way you'll have a background even though you don't have service.
Right.
And so I did that, and then I started tracing a line from the start point to the South Carolina coast.
Yeah.
Just zooming in, following back roads,
Right.
and looking up trail systems, and kind of going back and forth between a couple different devices. So I had within a month. Now this is months later.
Yeah.
But within a month, I had a full track all the way across the whole country.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to Polaris and I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
No one's ever done it outside of Johnny. So we're not taking nothing from him. I said, but we're going to go ocean to ocean.
Yeah.
And I think they had a little bit of question on like, well, that sounds pretty neat, but I don't know. They don't want to push things being on the road because they're not road legal.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I understand that. So we were able to get some machines at parts at a good price.
Yeah.
And we kind of, we went with there. Saved some money. I sold some things.
Yeah.
I basically cleared the shop out, sold everything.
You got to do what you got to do.
Just to make this happen.
Yeah.
And, we put together, we reached out to Pleasant Cook, 404 Barbie, and got her involved. And she's got a good social following that kind of helps reach more people. And we ended up putting it all together. And then Johnny called me back like 2 months later.
Yeah.
And he told me the last couple of pieces to the story.
Yeah.
And I told him this is what I'm doing. He said, well, good luck to you. He's like, I hope it goes well, but I hope you don't make it.
Yeah.
He said, I hope you go less miles than me.
Yeah, I understand that.
I said, okay, I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And so we put it all together, and we took off towards South Carolina, and we started on the ocean, like on the beach.
Yeah.
I asked a local power sports rep if he could just track this road and tell me where it starts. Because I said, by satellite imagery, it should start on the ocean.
Right.
And he got to the end of the road, and it said UTV tours ahead. Went and talked to those people. Those people own the last 4,000 acres of South Carolina. So they border North Carolina, and they own 3.5 miles of beach.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, come on. He said, we'll start you right on the beach.
That's amazing.
So it all just kind of panned out.
Yeah.
And, using resources that we had and, reaching out to people and, all that kind of stuff, we took off, and in 29 days, we were on the coast of Oregon.
That's amazing.
5,000 miles in 29 days.
5,000 miles.
There were some sections that we had to straight line.
Sure.
Because following the route and the map, there's a lot of horseshoe sections that would go down the mountain, basically around the mountain.
Yeah.
Cool overviews, and it would come back up. Well, we straight line some of those horseshoes just to keep on track. Because I put out a schedule that people were flying in, and we could never fall behind.
Yeah, but so you can't be late.
So we straight lined some sections. If we wouldn't have straight lined anything, if we would have tracked it out every single mile, we would have went over 6,500 miles. And that, it probably would have actually took an extra 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still did it. I'd love to do it again.
Okay.
It's all on planning.
Yeah.
It's all on, we did it fully self-sufficient.
That's amazing.
When they dropped us off with the trailers,
yeah,
we didn't see a trailer again until Oregon. Like, we carried our own food, our own clothes, our own tools.
Yeah.
So there's, I've posted about it a couple times, and some of those posts have really caught a lot of traction, and people love it, and they love the idea. And they're like, oh yeah, we ought to do it, and they start wanting all this, I need all this info, and I'm like, I didn't have the info.
Right.
Because I just started researching.
Yeah.
And I said, this is where you buy the map.
Yeah.
I just edited it to what I needed. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is, certain states you can tag UTV. Tennessee, you can tag them.
Right.
But the tag is only good for county roads.
Right.
Luckily, the trail is mostly county roads and stuff like that. You might have to cross a highway, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But some states like Oklahoma, they don't tag them. Mississippi, they don't tag them.
Yeah.
And
now you guys went through there?
We went through all the states.
Okay.
All the states that we had to.
Yeah.
And, we have turn signal kits, and so we're street legal.
Sure.
Technically by our tag and by that state.
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean every state's going to honor it.
Right.
It goes down to per state whether they want to honor it, per county, and even per town.
Wow.
To whether they want to honor your tags or not.
Wow.
I got pulled over.
Yeah.
I got tickets.
Wow.
You know, I got pushed off route pretty bad.
Yeah.
Just because they wouldn't let us keep going. We had to find other ways around.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But, I mean, we still made it.
Right.
It's not an easy route. But I will say that, you know, we saw places in the country that no one sees.
Yeah.
Except for those that live there.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like no one's out there.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty unreal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When you come across a mountain range and like looking at GPS, I could tell where we're going to be. A few hours later, we're on another mountain range. And I said, yeah, look, we started over there. All the way across as far as you can see on top of that mountain.
That's amazing.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's really neat.
Yeah.
Like the first day or two, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
By like the 5th or 6th day, you go up on a mountain like, damn, we got to go all the way over there. You know, that's a long ass way.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, we'll be there in 2 or 3 hours.
Do you ever get scared when it was just you guys out there?
I mean, no, not
Ever,
really.
anything ever like that set in for you where you're like, you know, I mean, did y'all have cell phones with GPS cell
I
phones?
mean, we had our phones.
Okay.
We had satellite tracking.
Yep.
Through lead nav.
Okay.
And with the satellite tracking, like I could send text out if I need to.
Okay.
Kind of like a last ditch thing.
Right.
I
know a lot of
but I
farmers
mean,
use
you
that.
know, it's surprisingly enough, like there's way more cell service on that trail than what I thought there would be.
Really?
Like I was running like full live videos in places where we ain't seen nothing for a long time.
I saw a live video of you guys, and y'all were in the middle of what looked like the desert, but it looked like it was just like old crop fields, and there was nothing for miles, and it's just you saying, hey, just checking in, and, and it's one of those things, next thing I'd see is you got a banana peel behind somebody's tire.
Yeah, we're trying to set up some traps.
That's good.
But, I mean,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I guess out of safety's sake, some people
Yeah.
might want to carry a sat phone or something like
Yeah.
that. We had the satellite tracking, and we could send out text if need be.
Sure.
So it worked out. I mean, we were never full days without service. We
Yeah.
always had service sometime during the day. We stayed in hotels every single night.
Right.
So like my mom, she just loves to help. She just wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
So I gave her my iPad with all the maps on it. And I said, I need you to compare this map to the paper map and put every mile marker on it.
Yeah.
Because the trail line will come across, but it doesn't have all the markers. So she put all the markers. She was researching on our computer of end of each day there'd be a point, and at that point there'd be a hotel and a number. Everything was on the screen. So all I had to zoom in, there's a phone number. Just call them.
That's amazing.
We'll be there tonight.
Now that's on your lead nav?
That's all through lead nav.
Lead nav sounds excellent.
Well, it's a great program.
Yeah.
There is a pretty steep learning curve to
Sure.
it, and he offers classes.
Okay.
No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
He loves the off road.
Yeah.
He's really focused towards the mission planning and the military and stuff like that, and it's all the same idea. The thing with LeadNav, like it's just a app to run what you have. So you have to have a map file to put into it.
Right.
And then you need to know how to drop markers and pins and change routes and stuff like that.
Sure.
And that stuff's not crazy hard, but there is a subscription to make it better and make it easier.
Yeah, sure.
So it works very, very well.
Okay.
I went across country on it, and
Yeah.
you know, there's another app company that's selling tablets with preloaded maps and all this kind of stuff, and it's a lot of the trail systems we ride, and it's a great consumer version.
Yeah.
But it won't do everything this will do.
Yeah.
As far as like where I can just start making lines and changing things.
Yeah.
It's kind of locked in. It's more of a consumer friendly one. And I've talked to that guy about using his stuff a little bit, and but they refuse to work on Apple products.
Oh, okay.
And coming from LeadNav is only Apple. You know, and I've talked to the owner of LeadNav a little bit. I was like, you know, what about the Samsung and the Android? He's like, well, he said that stuff works. He said, but there's so many different versions that it can be hit or miss.
Yeah. So I actually
where Apple, everything is always the same.
Exactly.
The running system itself.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a software engineer by day, so all of that makes sense. And anyone listening out there, iPhone is definitely better all the way around.
Yeah. So that's when I talked to that other guy. I was like, let me buy all your maps.
Yeah.
I'll pay for all of them.
Yeah.
And I said, let me put them on my iPad. Oh, we don't mess with iPad. I was like, why not? Well, we don't think it's as good. I was like, all right, well, that's fine. Let me just buy the files. Well, it's a such and such file. I was like, all right, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just convert it back.
Right.
Let me buy it. Okay, well, I need it in a GPX file.
Yeah.
Oh, well, our files aren't like that, but they start like that. Okay,
Right.
well, let me buy that. Okay. I was like, I need to load it on my iPad. Oh, we don't do that. We went around in circles like 4 times. I said, you know what, man? Never mind. It'll be all right. I'll just go ride the trails and track them myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, Polaris Ride Command.
Yeah.
That's another great app for GPS.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is kind of already in it, and it's very consumer friendly to where you can just go up in menu. You can save per state for offline use.
Right.
So you have that on your background whether you have signal or not.
Amazing.
And it's a very good, friendly, consumer friendly thing. And that's not a plug towards anybody.
Sure.
It's just
How it is.
the ones I've used. If I don't have the files for lead nav, I'll use Ride Command just because it already has a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it has capabilities of tracking and dropping pins and stuff like that, but not the capabilities of this.
Sure.
So it goes both ways. But
Okay.
that's kind of our adventure and where it's gone, and and the kind of push from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And, it was a learning curve.
Sure.
A big learning curve. Like
That's a lot of technology to be riding around with too.
Well, that, and it was the whole trip was a learning curve.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I'm not the most easy person to work around when it comes to work.
Sure.
Because I just want stuff done.
I agree.
And I only act like that because people push towards me like that. When they expect me to do something, just do it.
Right.
Just get it done now.
Yeah.
And I kind of pushed on the people on my crew like that a little bit.
Yeah.
A few times a little bit too hard.
Sure. We're humans. It
I mean,
happens.
I make mistakes, and
Sure.
I learned a little bit more about management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because there was days that like no one would talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was like me and 3 people. And
It's a
like
small
they wouldn't
tribe.
talk to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
What's up with y'all? Well, you said this and this and this. And I'm like, that's what's bothering you?
Yeah.
Well, my bad. I'm sorry. It's all on me.
Yeah.
I was like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
This is, as soon as I took blame, everyone was happy as could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? It'll be all right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had to keep people in check. I'm like I let 4x4 Barbie lead like day 4.
Yeah.
Out through the mountains. And I was like, you got GPS too? Just lead for a while. Well, she took off.
Yeah.
And she wasn't just flat out flying.
Right.
But to be on mountainside gravel roads.
You got to be careful.
I was like, you need to be pretty calm.
Yeah.
And I got a drink and put the cooler back up and my helmet on and got my gear on. And I took off, and it took me like 45 minutes to catch them.
Wow.
Of me driving fairly quick.
Yeah.
And they got to a split in the road. They didn't know where to go. And I pulled up and, I probably said a little bit too much.
Sure.
Just in a mean way.
Sure.
And I was like, you need to back up, because, you're going to fly off this mountain. I said, you're going to get hurt. And I said, you get the camera guy hurt. I said, then I got to find 2 more people, and I got to find another razor. I said, because we're already committed to this, you need to back the hell down. I said, and she didn't talk to me for like 3 days after that.
Yeah.
And it was my fault, totally my fault, because
Sure.
I said stuff a little bit too abrasive.
Sure.
But at the same time, we had a lot riding on it. It has to work. There's
Yeah.
no choice in it not working.
Absolutely.
And she understood.
Yeah.
It was just, it was kind of an eye opener. This isn't just a fun joyride. This is kind of like a little.
It's business.
It's an educational business try here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
there's something too. Whenever you're out there and you've got a schedule, but not only are you working towards a schedule where other people are relying on you, but you really are riding on the side of these mountains. Anyone that's been razor riding on these trails will understand that sometimes a little bit of traction on a gravel road may mean the difference between you staying on the trail and you falling hundreds of feet down off the side of a mountain. And if driving 5 or 10 more miles an hour is the difference, just err on the right side of safety.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it all worked out, and we're all still good friends. And she understood.
Sure.
I didn't have to explain myself whatsoever.
Yeah.
We had another girl, Shayna Lester, came with as an assistant, and they become good buddies. And
yeah, for sure.
I had a camera guy to help me and stuff like that. So we had a good communication.
Sure.
It was just I could say things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was never talked to very softly, I
Sure.
guess you would say. It was always pretty just straight to the point.
Yeah.
So that's where I took it. And
Yeah.
luckily, you always know where you stand.
Sure.
You know if you're in the good or in the bad.
That's right.
And when they're in the good, they knew it. And when
Right.
they were in the bad, they knew it.
Right.
It was.
Yeah.
It's point blank. There's no guessing.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think that's something that we run into a lot in today's society, anyways. Is a lot of ambiguity, and you never know where you stand with some people. And I think that's really respectable to know exactly how someone feels about you, and just to handle the matter then and there, and let it know that that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you just point blank.
Sure.
All right. We messed up. We're done. Move on.
Absolutely.
We don't need to dwell on things. We don't need to re-bring it up. It's just, it's gone, it's done. You can't get it back.
Yeah.
So you move forward.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. The whole trip we're always moving forward. And then, here we are today. We're always still moving forward. I'm working on power sports safety with kids and adults.
Yeah.
To get people out riding and riding safe.
Mm-hmm.
Just get people out to ride, and then the initial start in a safe way. We do some racing here and there.
Yeah.
Looking into doing some more adventures.
Yeah.
Adventures kind of within established events.
Sure.
That way we're already kind of within a crowd.
Sure.
And just kind of show what we got going on and get people more and more involved and people having fun. That's kind of where we're going with everything so far.
Yeah.
And we just got back from King of the Hammers about 2 weeks ago.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So before we talk about actual King of Hammers, I want to talk about